Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to talk about some more Moon Knight, this time by Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to be reviewing Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood. Now, I feel like this should have the name, it does have the name, The Complete Collection, but it doesn't have a name of the storyline, it's just Moon Knight. So this is the second complete collection that Marvel has put out in, I don't know, a month or two, because we have talked about this one right here. This is the Bendis and Malieve 12-issue run here. There's videos up on the channel if you want to watch an overview or a review about this. This was not really like essential Moon Knight reading. You're not going to get a sense of the character reading this, as I said in that video. However, this, Greg Smallwood, Jeff Lemire, there's other artists in here as well, Francesco Francavilla, Jordi Belair doing the colors. You're going to get a pretty good sense of who Moon Knight is and his dilemma reading this book, as it all takes place basically in Moon Knight's head. You're not going to get, you get a little bit of an origin towards the very end, but you're not going to get a big exploration of his villains or his origin. It's all about the characters in Moon Knight's head. So whereas the Bendis Moon Knight book was all about Moon Knight using, or Mark Spector taking in other heroes to be his voices in his head, this is the true Moon Knight, the one that's probably going to get explored on the Disney Plus show premiering at the end of this month in March, where you have Mr. Knight, who is the guy in the suit. You have Mark Spector. You have Moon Knight, a character all himself. You have Jake Lockley. You have, am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting another one. There's so many characters. You have Khonshu, the bird head god here, the god of the moon. And they're all battling for dominance here in this book. So it kind of starts off really in an interesting way. And this is 14 issues, mind you. And I think after this run wrapped up, they started up the new one that's currently ongoing, which is very good. The Midnight Mission is featured in that. I am liking reading that storyline, but this book starts off in a way that you're kind of questioning what's going on, and you're basically Mark Spector on this journey as you're reading the story. You're not given any hints or any clues. You're just all of a sudden aware that Mark Spector is in this insane asylum, this hospital for mentally ill patients, surrounded by some of his friends, everybody that he knows, Frenchie, Marlene, the owner of the diner, I think her name is Greta. There's an old guy named Halsey who's also here, and he's going, why are you all here in this insane asylum with me? And there's no good answer given to Mark or to the reader, and you don't really discover, in fact, that you're actually inside his head until, I think, the third arc here, which is issue 10, where Khonshu finally fesses up and is like, no, we're inside your head and we have been this entire time. So that revelation is huge. But this is a true story about Moon Knight battling his mental illness and using it to defeat his own personal demons, the god Khonshu, his issues with having so many personalities, things like that. So it's really like an empowerment story over a slam-bang superhero story, although there is some fights, there is some punching, there's lots of costumes, there's Egyptian gods, there's statues, there's pyramids, the whole thing. There's rocket ships and moon ships and movie stars and taxi cabs, just everything you kind of expect with Moon Knight if you just have a fleeting idea of what this character is. That's all in here, but it's all wrapped up in this nice little bow of, we're exploring Moon Knight's consciousness and his personalities and his battle with his, kind of almost acceptance of him being a mentally ill person, and how he's going to weaponize that in the future as Moon Knight. So it's a very interesting book. I do recommend reading this after all. Jeff Lemire is one of those writers who always, you can tell he always thinks about what he's writing and has it all planned out, and it's definitely apparent here when you read it all in one volume. He's sometimes hit or miss for me, but I really, really enjoyed this story here. I think he does some of these self-contained stories better than he does when he's put on an ongoing book. The same thing with, I feel the same way about Tom King. You know, when he's doing like a 12-issue run on something and he has a beginning, middle, and end and it all plotted out, fantastic. But, you know, he gets on Batman and does 85 issues and can't stick the landing, much less ruins the middle of the thing with the fake out with the Batman wedding. That's a whole nother issue. But, you know, another strong thing here is you have the art by Greg Smallwood, who's doing these kind of shaded, some of it looks like Sienkiewicz, some of it looks like Alex Maleev, some of it looks like the guys who are doing Daredevil with Mark Waid, Paulo Rivera, and Francesco Francavilla is also here. Some of it looks like his stuff. It's just really well, it's like a lot of simple lines with heavy charcoal, I believe, and that adds to the detail and kind of the murkiness of the story as well as the colors. So it's just a phenomenal style that he has here, and he switches between these styles sometimes in issues to kind of like put an emphasis on a point or remind you that, hey, we're in the Asylum world, or hey, we're in the Moon Knight world at this point, or hey, here's a new character, here's Moon Knight, you know, coming up in Mark's psyche, like, hey, I'm a new character, you better mess with me, you better not ignore me or I'm gonna take you down, kind of thing. And he's drawn in a different style than you saw on the page previously with the backgrounds and stuff. So it's just a phenomenal use of style to tell the story. And the you know, all the panel borders and stuff are white. The whole idea of Moon Knight is, you know, he wears white so that you see him coming and you're struck with fear because you have this white thing flying at you, almost like a ghost, I guess. So having all the panel borders being white the entire time is definitely a stylistic choice that I am totally vibing on, as we're talking about Moon Knight here, and he does not want to hide in the shadows. He wants to be seen. So that's also kind of reflected here. They also do some cool things with some panel layouts involving pyramids or exclamation points as things are happening to Mark in the insane asylum. But the colors here by Jody Belair, when he's really let loose in these like space settings, are just phenomenal. So big high five to Jody Belair, doing some great color work here. You got Francesco Francavilla doing some storylines in here in the middle of the book. You also got I can't remember this guy who's doing the Space Knight, Moon Knight stuff, where it's literally like, here's a knight on the moon because he's a spaceman, not because he's a superhero. He's also got some fantastic sequences in here as well. So they use different artists to different effects to tell different parts of the story, as opposed to like a fill-in artist, so it doesn't really jar anything going on. James Stocco is this artist doing the space stuff. This guy right here. So he's adds some really interesting flair to the middle of the story, where it's like uber detailed and super frantic and frenetic, as opposed to the more classic, simplistic style of Greg Smallwood and Francesco Francavilla. So I think this is a great story. It's really, really cool. I suggest reading it. I think you're going to get a little bit of taste of who, you know, if anything, you're going to figure out who Mark Spector is from this book, while you might not understand the reasons why he's Moon Knight, or you know, who his villains are, that sort of thing. This is not a Batman Hush Moon Knight story where they're like, throw everything at the wall, we're going to throw every villain in here so you get a smattering, a smorgasbord of everything. This is like, all right, who's Moon Knight, and we're going to tell you, and we're going to figure it out together in the story. So I really like it. I wish it had a subtitle though, so I could say, hey, go read Moon Knight blank, instead of Moon Knight, the complete collection, Lemire, Smallwood, and Belair. Like, that's just a mouthful. If it was Moon Knight Head Hurts, or Head Hunters, or something like that, or Head Games, you know, it'd be a much easier title to put on a YouTube video or to recommend somebody to read it, instead of like, hey, go search out the Moon Knight collection by Jeff Lemire. But if you just say Jeff Lemire's run, I guess we could call it that as well. So there you go. Gets my recommendation. I really liked it. So go check it out if you haven't, and let me know down below what you think in the comments of this run on Moon Knight. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.